Before Columbus, before empires, before the very idea of the New World took shape in Europe, this land was home to vibrant cultures that thrived for centuries. Today we embark on a journey back in time, back to a time when the first humans set foot on this land, where we will meet the indigenous peoples who not only survived but flourished in this diverse terrain. Let's start with a thought experiment. Imagine yourself as a scientist trying to study ancient history without any physical artifacts, without any written records, without anything except maybe some pottery shards and a smattering of oral histories. How would you reconstruct the past? That's the challenge we face today. Most of what we know about pre-Columbian America comes from archaeological finds and anthropologists' interpretations of cultural landscapes. It's a meticulous process of piecing together the past from material remains. Yet it's also a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of these ancient societies. Our story begins around 13,000 years ago, at the end of the Ice Age, when humans first arrived in the Americas. They crossed what is now the Bering Strait land bridge called Beringia, carrying with them the skills and knowledge that had enabled their survival in Siberia. These early Americans were nomadic hunter-gatherers, living in small groups and following the herds of animals across the vast open spaces. As the glaciers retreated, new environments emerged, shaping the lives of these early inhabitants. In the dry Southwest, the nomadic groups began to settle down. Around 10,000 years ago, they learned to trap rainwater and grow crops such as squash and beans. A little farther east, in the fertile valleys of what is now Mexico, another agricultural revolution was underway. Around 7,000 years ago, maize or corn became a staple crop, fundamentally changing the way people lived, allowing for larger settlements and more complex societies. This was a time of innovation and adaptation. In the dense forests of the East, people developed sophisticated tools from stone and bone, built burial mounds, and charted the stars. In the Andes Mountains, they carved terraces into the slopes to grow crops and keep soil erosion at bay. And yet further south, along the Atlantic coast, they mastered the art of fishing and seafaring. But let's be clear, this wasn't a pristine Eden. Life in pre-Columbian America was not without its conflicts. Groups competed for resources, fought over hunting grounds, and sometimes resorted to human sacrifice. But even in these societies, there was also cooperation, trade, and cultural exchange. For example, in the Great Basin region of the United States, the ancestral Puebloans built thriving communities around 500 CE, mastering irrigation and adapting to a semi-arid climate. Their descendants, the Hopi people, still live there today, preserving their cultural heritage and adapting to the challenges of a changing world. As the centuries rolled on, more cultural centers emerged across the land. One of the earliest and most influential was the North Chico civilization in what is now Peru. Emerging around 2600 BCE, this society boasted 6 pyramids, large public works projects, and an advanced understanding of mathematics and astronomy. What's truly fascinating is that, unlike many later American civilizations, the North Chico civilization showed no evidence of warfare or conquest. Their wealth may have been derived from controlling access to resources like water, or by collecting taxes from the people they ruled over. Another notable aspect of the North Chico culture was their use of quipu, a system of knotted strings to record numerical information. While deciphering the exact meaning of these quips is still a work in progress, they offer a glimpse into a sophisticated record-keeping system that existed long before writing was introduced to the Americas. Further north in Mesoamerica, another cradle of civilization was taking shape. Here between 1400 and 400 BCE, the Olmec civilization thrived along the Gulf Coast. They are often referred to as the mother culture of Mesoamerica because of their profound influence on subsequent civilizations like the Maya and the Aztec. The Olmecs were master sculptors, and their colossal heads, some weighing up to 50 tons, are among the most iconic symbols of pre-Columbian America. But beyond their artistic achievements, the Olmecs established a cultural blueprint that future societies would follow. They kept meticulous records, developed complex religious rituals, and laid the groundwork for urban planning that would become increasingly sophisticated over time. And then in the heartland of North America, another mystery unfolds. Starting around 800 BCE, the people of the eastern woodlands began to construct earthen mounds that served both as burial grounds and platforms for ritual activities. Places like Poverty Point, Hopewell, and Cahokia became focal points for a vast network of trade and cultural exchange, stretching from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. The builders of these mounds were skilled astronomers and mathematicians, aligning their structures with celestial bodies with an accuracy that continues to amaze. Later, around 1000 CE, Cahokia grew to become one of the largest cities in the Western Hemisphere, even rivaling contemporary London in size. Yet mysteriously, it was abandoned around 1400 CE, leaving behind only mounds and artifacts to hint at its former grandeur. The societies we've explored so far represent just a fraction of the cultures that flourished in pre-Columbian America. Along the Pacific coast, the Chinookan peoples thrived with large sedentary villages and a complex social hierarchy. Further inland, the Hopi people of Arizona built an extensive canal system to irrigate their crops and sustain their growing population. And in the Great Plains, the nomadic tribes like the Lakota and the Cheyenne roamed the grasslands, living in close harmony with the buffalo and horses that define their environment. What's truly remarkable about pre-Columbian America is the sheer diversity of these societies, each adapting to its unique environment and developing its own customs, beliefs, and innovations. They built grand cities, engineered ingenious water systems, and created works of art that continue to inspire awe. Yet despite their differences, they shared common threads of innovation, resilience, and a deep connection to the natural world. Sadly, much of what we know about these cultures has come through the lens of colonialism, often distorted by biases and stereotypes that sought to portray indigenous peoples as primitive and uncivilized. However, recent decades have brought a surge in archaeological discoveries and a renewed commitment to understanding pre-Columbian America on its own terms. As more and more excavations are carried out and indigenous voices are amplified, we are gaining a richer, more accurate portrayal of these ancient societies. Moreover, the study of pre-Columbian America is not just about the distant past. It is about understanding the roots of modern indigenous cultures and the profound impact that these ancient societies had on the Americas. Many indigenous communities view their ancestral past as an integral part of their identity and are actively involved in preserving and interpreting their cultural heritage. In conclusion, pre-Columbian America was not a land waiting to be discovered, but a vibrant tapestry of cultures that had been flourishing for millennia. The story of ancient America is a testament to the human spirit's boundless capacity for innovation, adaptation, and creation. These ancient societies did not just survive in diverse terrains, they thrived, leaving behind legacies that continue to shape the Americas today. As we continue to explore their stories, we honor not just their accomplishments, but their enduring legacy and the vital contributions they made to our shared human history. If you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more about pre-Columbian America, check out the recommended resources. Your support means a lot. Thanks for joining us on this journey through time. Until next time, keep exploring the past and igniting your curiosity about the world around you. Let us move now into the age when the civilizations of ancient America reached their zenith, an age of stone cities and golden kings, of astronomers and architects, of sacrifice and splendor. We begin with the Maya, in the dense jungles of what is now Guatemala, Honduras, and southern Mexico, a civilization emerged that would rival any in the ancient world. Between 250 and 900 CE, the classic Maya period saw the rise of mighty city-states like Tikal, Palenque, and Copan. Each city-state was ruled by an elite dynasty. Kings claimed divine descent, living in palaces adorned with murals depicting creation myths and royal lineage. A noble warrior class supported them, overseeing construction projects, maintaining temples, and waging war. Then there were merchants, artisans, farmers, and slaves. Society was stratified, but fluidity existed. A slave could buy his freedom. A commoner might rise as a merchant, and a king's daughter could rule in place of her father if he died. The Maya built stepped pyramids that pierced the forest canopy. They raised temples to their gods, aligning them with cosmic precision. They constructed observatories to track Venus, the Pleiades, and solar eclipses, believing that the king of the underworld rode its fiery chariot. The Maya were masterful astronomers, developing a calendar that is more accurate than the Gregorian one we use today. This knowledge informed their religion, which permeated every aspect of life. From the king to the peasant, the Maya participated in ritual bloodletting, piercing their genitals or tongues with thorns to appease the gods and demonstrate their devotion. They left behind elaborate murals and sculptures of deities with jaguar spots, feathered serpents, and crocodile helmets, evidence of a culture deeply entwined with nature. But these gods demanded sacrifice. Prisoners of war, criminals, and even nobles were offered up, their hearts removed and held aloft to the heavens. Human blood, the Maya believed, sustained the cosmos. It was a necessary offering to ensure the continuation of the world. The Maya invented a full writing system, the most advanced in the ancient Americas. Scribes recorded the deeds of kings, wars, and myths in glyphs carved in stone or painted on bark paper codices. Hieroglyphics were used alongside a phonetic syllabary to record everything from the birth of a child to a battle with neighboring city-states. Although most Maya cities were fiercely independent, occasionally a hegemon would emerge, a city capable of dominating others through military prowess and diplomacy. The Maya also excelled in the arts, crafting exquisite jewelry out of jade and precious metals, weaving intricate textiles, and designing monumental architecture. Their buildings were adorned with corbelled arches, barrel vaults, and steep pyramid temples. Great plazas often served as the focal point of each city, surrounded by palaces, temples, and the iconic stepped pyramid. Sometimes topped by a temple structure, ball courts where the stakes were life and death. The Maya played a game with a heavy rubber ball and two opposing teams. It was a test of strength, skill, and strategy, with the losing team sometimes being put to death. But despite their brilliance, the classic Maya cities fell into decline starting in the 9th century. Drought, overpopulation, warfare, and the collapse of long-distance trade likely played a role. Some cities were abandoned entirely. Others, like Tikal, continued on in a smaller form. Yet Maya culture survived, adapting to new circumstances. The Maya would leave their mark on the post-classic period, influencing the development of later Mesoamerican cultures. Though the timeline varies depending on the region, the post-classic Maya persisted until the Spanish conquest. To the north, a different power was rising. Teotihuacan, the city of the gods. Long before the Aztecs, this metropolis stood on the high plateau of central Mexico. Excavations suggest settlement here dating back to 300 BCE, but the city's zenith occurred between 100 BCE and 500 CE, when it was one of the largest cities on Earth, with over 100,000 inhabitants. Teotihuacan was a mercantile hub, controlling important trade routes and producing luxury goods. Obsidian blades from nearby volcanic glass fields were prized throughout Mesoamerica. Merchants sold fine feather-adorned garments. Intricately carved ornaments and colorful ceramics featuring stylized human figures and mythological creatures, but no ruler's name is known. No written records remain, and yet its shadows stretched across Mesoamerica. The city's influence peaked under the second ruler of the Third Dynasty. His reign marked the beginning of the city's classic period, which lasted from about 300 to 650 CE. During this time, Teotihuacan expanded its territory, incorporating neighboring city-states into a tributary system. Teotihuacan's influence reached deep into the Maya world. Its obsidian blades, pottery, and architectural style appear in cities hundreds of miles away, suggesting a cultural sphere stretching from the Maya lowlands to the northern Mexican highlands. But in 450, fire swept through the city, destroying nearly every building. Whether by revolt, invasion, or collapse, we do not know. What remained was a ghost city, awe-inspiring and silent. Over the following centuries, Teotihuacan's population dwindled. By 750, the once bustling metropolis was abandoned, its magnificent avenues overgrown, its great pyramids crumbling, its palaces reduced to rubble. And yet its legacy lived on in the cultures that succeeded it, a testament to a civilization that thrived in the heart of ancient Mesoamerica. Farther south, in the spine of the Andes, another empire was taking shape. The Inca Empire, although the youngest of the three major American civilizations, would become the largest in the Americas by the 15th century, stretching from modern-day Venezuela to Chile. But even centuries before the rise of Cusco, the capital, earlier Andean cultures had laid the groundwork. The Nazca, known for their giant geoglyphs, lines and animal shapes carved into the desert floor, visible only from the air. The Mocha, who built adobe temples and left behind haunting ceramics that captured human emotion and lifelike detail. And the Wari, whose road networks and urban planning prefigured the Inca. When the Inca rose, they inherited this wisdom. The Inca Empire reached its zenith in the 1400s during the reign of Pachacati, who transformed Cusco into a magnificent capital, expanded the empire's borders, and reorganized its administration. Roads connected the far reaches of the empire, allowing messengers to travel quickly and troops to move efficiently. Under Pachacuti's successors, the empire grew even larger, incorporating diverse peoples and landscapes. The Inca emperor, the Sapa Inca, literally the sun, held divine status, considered both the living embodiment of the sun god and its earthly ruler. Below him were nobles, priests, artisans, farmers, and at the lowest level, a class of people known as Midima, who were relocated from their original homes to work in agriculture or mining. The Inca built vast storehouses, terraced farms, and a road system spanning 25,000 miles, more than the Roman Empire. Their architecture was so precise that even today, in an earthquake-prone land, many of their walls stand unmoved. Their mastery of stonework is evident in the iconic stone fortresses like Sacsayhuaman near Cusco, with its massive stones fitted together without mortar. The Inca kept no written records, but knotted cords called quipu served as an accounting tool to manage their vast bureaucracy. Runners called chasqui carried messages along stone-paved roads, reaching distant provinces in a matter of days. The Inca adapted to the environment, building ingenious irrigation systems in the arid coastal regions and creating agricultural terraces in the mountainous terrain. They domesticated llamas and alpacas, utilizing them for wool and meat. They developed a sophisticated system of labor organization, requiring able-bodied subjects to work on public projects for a set amount of time each year. Religion permeated Inca society, with a pantheon of gods associated with natural phenomena and local cults. The Inca worshipped a supreme creator god that lacked a unified cosmology or detailed mythology. Yet despite their impressive achievements, The Inca Empire did not survive the arrival of the Spanish conquistadors led by Francisco Pizarro. Captured and executed in 1533, the last Inca emperor Atahualpa, the empire was effectively dissolved, its wealth appropriated and its people subjugated. The Inca way of life was effectively extinguished, leaving behind only ruins and oral traditions. So ends our survey of the civilizations of ancient America. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on what makes these societies so fascinating. If you want to learn more about the ancient world, be sure to check out our other videos. Thanks for watching. The year is 1492. A Genoese navigator named Cristobal Colon Christopher Columbus lands in the Caribbean. Believing he had reached the fringes of Asia, he had not. What he had done was awaken a tide of conquest that would wash over ancient America like a wave over sand. But the peoples of this land were not passive witnesses. In the Great Basin of Mexico, the Aztec Empire stood at its height. The city of Tenochtitlan, built on a lake and laced with canals, shimmered with white stone temples, colorful markets, and wide causeways. It rivaled any European city of its time. It was here that Hernan Cortes arrived in 1519, less a conqueror at first, more a guest. The Aztecs had risen through war, tribute, and a religious cosmology rooted in blood and sun. They saw the Spaniards as both threat and omen. Their emperor, Moctezuma II, tried diplomacy, perhaps sensing a prophecy fulfilled, but steel, smallpox, and native allies turned the tide. Within 2 years, Tenochtitlan lay in ruins. To the south, in the Andes, the Inca faced their own apocalypse. When Francisco Pizarro arrived in 1532, the Inca Empire was already wounded, its emperor dead from European disease, its people divided by civil war. The capture and execution of Atahualpa, the new Cepa Inca, marked the beginning of the end. Cusco fell. But unlike the Aztecs, the Inca did not vanish into defeat. For 36 more years, rebel Inca held strongholds in the mountains. The final redoubt, Vilcabamba, stood until 1572. Even then, legends persisted of cities hidden in jungle, of kings who never died. But let us be clear, the conquest was not the end of ancient America. It was the beginning of a long transformation. Many native societies were not empires. They were nations, confederacies, and kin networks. Pueblo, Mapuche, Chachapoya, Zapotec, Maya. Some fought the invaders, others traded. Others blended faiths and languages in ways we now call syncretism. While colonizers burned temples, indigenous builders reassembled stones into churches. While priests outlawed ancient gods, native storytellers whispered their names into Christian saints. Some resistance was open, like the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, where native people drove out Spanish colonists from New Mexico. Some was quiet, like the continued speaking of forbidden tongues, or the careful planning of maize and patterns taught by ancestors. While one empire fell, another bloomed. That's all for now. See you next time.